People might be surprised to know that I watched a lot of television as a child. A lot. And honestly, the first thing that comes to mind when I consider a leap of faith is that old Looney Tunes cartoon with the coyote and the roadrunner. You know the one. The roadrunner effortlessly leaps from one desert cliff to the next, leaving ground and returning back in a graceful curve. The coyote in hot pursuit making the same jump and inevitably taking a dramatic plummet to the desert floor. The process of change can involve a leap of faith. And for most of us, the instant that we decide to make a change, to leap from safety to unknown, we don't touch back down onto the earth as quick as that roadrunner. Instead, we leap and then remain airborne for what can feel like a long time before our feet touch back down. And in that moment of suspension, we pray that we fare better than the coyote. Before the leap, we don't know what the airtime will bring. We can predict, we can study, but we simply cannot know. Becoming an adult and then being an adult is a process of taking those leaps. For most of us, a series of them. Some of us may take leaps that close one door and open the next. Settling down, moving on, emigrating, breaking contact with a family member, moving into assisted living, bringing a child into your family, starting or ending a marriage, getting that first tattoo. Other leaps are more fluid, starting a new job, changing your diet, asking for help, offering help, beginning a new hobby, or joining a new community group. Leaps like this weave into what is already there, but they too require some trust in yourself. This is the stuff of life, life as a series of leaps of faith. Some forgettable, some lasting a lifetime, some leaving a legacy. Take, for example, a leap of faith in our Unitarian heritage from Joseph Priestley, founder of the Unitarian movement in England. Priestley was a contemporary of Benjamin Franklin, and like Franklin, a citizen scientist credited with discovering oxygen. In addition to his scientific pursuits, Priestley was a minister and a theologian. At that time, the United States of America had its own Unitarian movement separately in formation here in New England. But over there in England, Priestley was publishing books and gaining notoriety. His outspoken criticisms of the doctrines of the time and petitions for religious tolerance were perceived as an attack on the Church of England. In 1791, an angry mob attacked and set fire to his home and science laboratory in Birmingham. He and his family barely escaped in time. This led Priestley to take a leap of faith and move to Pennsylvania in 1794, where he lived out the rest of his life. He found a peaceful life in the United States. He also became a popular speaker, and in that community of religious tolerance in the state of Pennsylvania, his ideas about religion gained traction and led to the founding of the first Unitarian Church in the U.S., opened in 1796 in Philadelphia. To this day, that Philadelphia church still gathers as a Unitarian Universalist congregation. About 5 years ago, our collective UU Nashua feet hit the ground as we culminated a visioning process that I mentioned earlier, the one that led to our statement of values, our mission, our ends, which are our goals as a congregation. Then, as in a series of leaps we often do, we leapt again, forming the Building Our Vision team to consider ways that the current state of this church building does not match our aspirations, especially when it comes to offering welcome to all and being careful stewards of the earth. Today, church members will review building design plans and vote to give the Board of Trustees direction on the scope of modifying our building so that it can serve out the mission of this church for years to come. In belonging to a congregation, many of us took a leap of faith. And in that belonging, we belong to something that we did not create and that will outlast us. Our time here is brief. The Hebrew Bible reminds us that we draw waters from wells that we did not dig, and we eat food from vines which we did not plant. To be in community with one another is sacred work of giving and receiving. What have we received in making this place our home? What have we given to sustain it? What would we give so that it sustains future generations, people just like us, seeking liberal religion, community, shelter from the storms of life? Amanda Gorman is the author of today's Wonderbox story. She is also the United States National Youth Poet Laureate, who read for 6 minutes on the steps of the Capitol during the presidential inauguration, only 2 weeks after the insurrection on January 6, 2021. In an essay about that day, Gorman admits that she almost didn't read her poem. She was terrified. Quote, "I was scared of failing my people, my poetry, but I was also terrified on a physical level." End quote. She notes in the essay that COVID was raging, the insurrection had just occurred, and being highly visible as a Black person with no Secret Service detail evoked a sense of danger. At only 22, Gorman spent the night before inauguration pensive and sleepless. When dawn broke, she said, quote, "I know one thing for sure. I was going to be the 2021 inaugural poet. I can't say I was completely confident in my choice, but I was completely committed to it." That time between when our feet leave the earth and return can feel like an eternity. How grateful millions of Americans were that day to hear Amanda Gorman's hopeful poem. What if she had not taken that leap? In confronting her fears, she uplifted so many of us who were feeling frightened and hopeless in the wake of the insurrection. It's likely that every year of our life, we have been, we are, and we will be in the midst of a leap of faith or coming up to a new one. Sometimes we are celebrating a triumphant landing. Other times we might find ourselves like Wile E. Coyote, careening down towards the earth. It's nice to have friends on the journey, to celebrate with us, and to lift us up when we have fallen. Because on our own, our wits can guide us only so far. And then it is our trust in ourselves, in the people we surround ourselves with, in our values, in what we know to be sacred, that guides us on the rest of the journey. Let that trust be our wings. So may it be.